the Relais Gascogne. We might actually, I believe, approach it on our little climb to get to the Route de Montmartre itself. So I'll point it out for you. And if you're going to go there, have what, a salad fraîcheur. And you think, oh, well, salad. Brian's already looking at me like, I don't want a salad. You want that, Brian. It's got sliced potatoes, hot on, but it's a hot salad. It's absolutely gorgeous. Stick with it. Here we got that little section between the FIA headquarters, and there is Montmartre up on the top of the hill there. You can see it. There's the domed cathedral itself. I used to have a little apartment just at the foot of it. In fact, Rue de Steinkirk at the top. If you ever want to go and knock on the door and say, is Carlton Kirby in? No. So a long time. It's the temple. There's the little Miele mustard shop just on the right-hand side here. And if you want to buy a little macaron, then it's just in the corner as we come up where the red car is about now. I know this. Lived here a long time. 15 years lived in. No, not in the temple itself, obviously. That's just be even right, didn't possibly £2 even for me, Brian. But, but anyway, beautiful mosaic work. I've got to say on the floor here. Brian would be saying, get back to this. Let's get back to it. Thankfully. But while we're dwelling on it, here we are. And all of a sudden, guess what? Are they getting greedy? Are they getting grossly greedy?
It's a phenomenal stage win yesterday, so emotional for him. And he's another rider that's, okay, he's had a third. He won solo yesterday. Not many sprinters can say that in the Tour de France stage. But just to confirm that GC time has already been taken. It was taken the fourth time across the line. But everybody will continue because the stage went up for grabs. And, just being positioned when we hit the climb of Montmartre. And, Hannah's already been there. We showed us pictures. Everybody's excited. And I think one thing is, because everybody normally goes to the Champs-Élysées and it's normally 10, 12 deep. Well, I think the atmosphere, especially the Olympics last year, on Montmartre and Taylor's as well.
Julien Alaphilippe is going to make a statement today, no matter what. Win or lose, he'll be at the pointy end at least once over Montmartre.
He will be. He's got Mark Haller there, and they're the ones that are taking this on. They're really going to go for this one. I think it's just a chase now. I think he just can't hold the wheel.
He can't. I don't think he wants to at the moment. Maybe he will be part of a group that pushes on. They're eating into this one. Don't be surprised either if the European champion Trentin, who was so busy in the break the other day, I was thinking surely he must be holding himself back for this. Well, maybe he was when he backed out of it. Let's wait and see. They've got cards to play. And at the moment, they're showing their hand ever so slightly. The climb goes on, Brian, heading ever inexorably up.
And then Caden Groves, he cannot just hesitate to let the wheel go. But Tudor Pro Cycling in the black, well, they've been trying for so many days to try and get something out at the Tour de France. They did a good go with Michael Storer, but they're the ones that really want to ignite this one.
Well, let's see. 3, 2, 1 ignition. Somebody's going to go up and over the top the Côte de la Route de Montmartre. We don't come up the Rue de Steinkirk, my old hacking ground, but we do come up and I believe spear towards the Relais Gascogne. I told you about the hot salads. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. It's just the best restaurant in Paris, full stop. And everyone who I've recommended previously to go there has enjoyed it. The Sacré-Cœur. Once heard an American tourist very late at night, just below my open window on a hot day, say, well, there it is, the bag of hearts. No, the Sacré-Cœur. I see what he was doing there, but it meant the... yeah, I told him. I put him straight. But anyway, ever since then, always referred to it as the bag of hearts. Me and Mark Charvet, the man who calls them off the line at the beginning of the day, and will be our host for the... he was host for the team presentation, and will be, I believe, the MC for the jerseys a little bit later on. Great guy. Meanwhile, Greg Scott, we've had one of those in Oscar Onley. I don't know who's going to be today, but it's going to be spectacular. I was actually wondering, because it has been effectively neutralised, Brian, whether we might even see Tadej Pogačar himself, and guess what? He's towards the pointy end. He can't help himself.
No, there'll be a lot of them wanting to get involved with this one. You can't stop a good man. So I think Tudor Pro Cycle led it on here, but I think just wait for Wout van Aert. He's brought up towards the front and he'll really want to ignite it. We asked him at the start whether it's going to be the first time up or the last time up, and he said he'll just go with feeling.
Well, there we are. I don't think feeling's riding, but I know what you mean. 40 kilometres from home, just passing by the Relais Gascogne, and indeed now we are indeed heading for the remainder of the day. Can't wait. Yes, just past Moulin Rouge, high kicking stuff that we've already seen today. Who's going to kick on? Anybody's guess. Let's deal with it, shall we? 4%. That's going to get more gnarly than that. But it's this surface as well that's been such a worry. Deflection, time to go, time to showboat. A rocket without a stick. It's Alaphilippe. It may not be a full-on display at the end of the day, but my God, he lights it up gorgeously. And with a race on here.
Yeah, Alaphilippe goes with him. When you make any difference, you need to do it from the bottom. It was a little bit kind of top, so Alaphilippe goes with the Alaphilippe. As we were expecting, that's what it was set up for, but it's so short. I'm not getting a huge amount of difference.
James Bugger, maybe we're not on his parade for Guillermo. Come back himself in this group, just disengaged, no shame in that at all. And listen to this roar. Absolutely fabulous. What an atmosphere. A little bit of respite. They just come over the peak here, and now it's time to head back down and get back down to the Champs-Elysees. We're coming back here, afraid. We can hear
a few more. So he's up there for after going with him. So it's whether they make a big difference. He can make some time gaps up and split the peloton, but I think it'll come back together as well.
Best area of Paris to see the views of the great city itself, just in front of Montmartre itself. The fountains there, they were for some of their pilgrims and the martyrs to actually bathe their wounds, looking for redemption. Somebody's going to get it today. Quite sure who. I'm sure. To be honest, this is your future.
Normally, it's all down in the Champs-Elysees, but it just kind of opens the door to a different experience. Put them on a small short climb like that, and you can hear the atmosphere.
Time to come back down then, off the crest. And of course, who else? Tadej Pogačar. He's a showman after all, Sean, and he's on display fully.
I'm Brian, by the way. But Wout van Aert still going with this.
It's not the first time we made that mistake.
Yeah, there's so many riders. Look at the riders and the small gaps all over the place. And if these are the gaps now, just imagine what it will be like the last time up here.
Goodness only knows. What I do know is that Tadej Pogačar wants to make a statement. Hey, fabulous, isn't it? And there indeed, viewing points. If you ever come here on New Year as well, you kind of look over the city and watch the fireworks going off. It's absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, the restaurant just the side here, not as expensive as you might think. Because up front of how we've got ourselves a little bit of a push on, a little bit more than that. Van Aert comes through, does his turn. Tadej Pogačar, I think he showboated over the top for the first time, clears his nasal passages. Don't be surprised if we have a surprise today, Brian.
No, I'm waiting for the surprise, and I think that's why they put the Montmartre in. I was just hoping that the rain stayed off. You can see a lot bit of damp patches, but Wout van Aert, Alaphilippe, Bergmos, Tobias Lund there, Ballerini, Pogačar. This is very selective at the moment. I think some others will join them, but some big hitters here at the front.
Certainly are. Alaphilippe wanted to show his something wheels and the elbows here. Look at the forearms just starting to ripple. Fantastic. And Tadej Pogačar, well, first time at Montmartre, why not? Do you think you'll be there at the end?
I think he will be. He wants to race, and he'll enjoy the spectacle of this new dimension. But there's a lot of riders that have now come up there in this group, so they've been up here.
I think it might be. We have Tadej Pogacar, we have Wout van Aert, we have Julian Alaphilippe, Ballerini, Anderson, Tobias Lund, we have Arnaud Delay, Yannick Barkamos is also here. Stirring the porridge, Brian. They want cohesion here.
Yeah, this is a very select group. It's still a large group, of course. This is turning into like a Belgian kermesse. This is just full of third place. Doesn't look as if there's a lot of riders wanting to ride. They're just happy about being here. Yeah.
They are just happy to be here. Yeah, and there looks to be an easement right now. I think Tadej Pogacar's possible.
Well, if it's a guess, it's Eye. He's been trying ever since we started this Tour de France. We've got a group here about maybe almost 20 riders. Further down the line, I think Stuyven's there, Gurmai. There's a lot of riders. Fred right up as well.
Has Caden Groves made it to this group? Let's have a look.
Yeah, he's in this group.
Yeah, look at him. Oh, wow. This would be something if Caden Groves, and why not, after being cock-a-hoop yesterday, clearly very, very emotional at what he had achieved. So he's done a gadget, so he's Wout van Aert keeping tabs on him. Wout van Aert.
Yeah, you got a good front group here. Pogacar's there. I think Voigtland is in this group. Victor Campenaerts, Valentin Parapanta, Turnison, Adam Buru, Groves, Russo, Tobias Lund, Fred Wright, Mohoric, Gurmai, Ballerini, and Arnaud Delay. So another group of about 5 or 6 riders, and then you get a group splitting up all over the place.
And it's lots of rain. Well, it's the Champs-Elysees. What a sight, Brian. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, okay, the riders will be, looking at the dark skies at the moment. But one thing is for sure, there's a few teams that have been added into the mix now. They believe that they can win. This is Aurelia and Parapanta at the frontier for the decathlon. That group of 7 has joined up, so it looks as if we've got a group of almost 30 riders now. And we've only done 1 lap. We've still got 2 laps of 16.8 to go.
Dig in then. This is going to be a battle, potentially of attrition. William Gamay trying to join proceedings here. Quick check over the shoulder there of Julien Alaphilippe. This has become now a group of substance. The splits all over the place. There'll be those who just want to ride in, but there's plenty that actually fear that they've missed the front group and they're being called to try and work together. And there's an argument here as to who's going to do all the workload. Lipovic's part of it.
Made an effort earlier on, now paid for it. I think Axel Laurence has made the group in front as well. He came across with a group of 7 riders.
Goodness me, just look at the rain.
Well, this is Red Bull trying to help Jordi Mears. He won. He was the last rider to win on this finishing line, but it's a totally different dynamic with this circuit, including Montmartre now.
Very much so. And you can see that the rain that they were worried about has well and truly joined us, Brian.
It has, and that's just, I hope it's not a dampen the way that the guys race. I don't, like I said to Declan on the way in, I don't want the rain spoiling the day. And it looks as if it may do that, because I don't want to see any thrilling, but unfortunately the rain has come down. and somebody's going to win. But I think, like you said, we might see a surprise here.
The complexion of the day has indeed moderated. Just look at the flaring of the lights here. That's because the camera aperture has been held wide open, and the road itself looks like a river. It may well get even more so by the end of the day. That's going to cause a few nerves for sure as we head back up to the Étoile and passing what will ultimately be our finish line. It's time for me to bow out of this magnificentness and hand you back over to Declan quickly.
As Carlton, the weather has closed in somewhat. Could it potentially lead to an opening up of the race as Nissa Palace hits the front? Yellow jersey, ever prominent. We're thinking back to 1979 and 1981 when Bernardino took the victory. Yeah, he did it twice in any event. Twice on the Champs-Élysées, twice taking victory in the final stage of Tour de France. And clearly, Tadej Pogacar wants a little bit of that history as well. It's absolutely horrific conditions here. And it's only set to get a little bit more challenging. I suppose up front might be just the place to be in these kind of conditions.
Yeah, 100%. It's a place to be. I think somebody's going to take some risks on this. And if you take risks, you well know in the rainy conditions here in Paris that you risk crashing. I don't want that to happen to anybody, but we do have a group of almost 30 riders here at the front. I'm not too sure if anybody will come back, but we are going to see a very selective group that's going to entertain us for the final 30 kilometres here. As expected, the average speed is going up to over 40 kilometres an hour, but I'll just go through again many of the riders that are here. Pogacar, Voikelin, Jorgensen, Paripantra, that's Aurelian, Campenarts, Valentin Paripantra also involved, Paulus, Laurent, Alaphilippe, Stuyven, Bergmos, Van Aert, as we see this out, Camposan, Kate Groves, Dylan Toynes, Russo, Tobias Lund, Matteo Trentin, Fred Wright, Mahodic, Girmay, Bittner, Ballerini, and DeLee.
It's your roll call of strongmen on the final day. A few riders who have shown themselves to be suffering from slightly weaker legs, struggling to fire them up a little bit. This man wants glory today, and the point is up the Tour de France 2025. But we've had rain the last couple of days, and this is challenging. Finale in prospect down to the final 30 kilometers, 25 back up, and as part of this one, we'll keep tabs on that. Of course, it's not relevant for general classification at this point.
Fourth passage of the line before we went out to Montmartre. We were waiting on confirmation of that, but Carlton, we are not privy to some of that information. We were told that it would be made if the rain came down, so it was made beforehand of the prospect that the rain would come down and the right to do so. This is the group of Jonathan Milan. Again, I thought Jonathan Milan may have been capable of getting involved here, but off the front of this front group now, we're starting to see the attacks. Matej Mohoric now going. I just saw the yellow jersey of Pogacar just a bit more gingerly in some of these corners. I just hope that the rain doesn't have a massive effect.
Yeah, like you say, some riders will certainly take a risk or two because it is a stage of the Tour de France. It's the final stage, possibly claim. Such a long time. Sprinters don't really have any sprint. Benny Gourmet has made that split. So Van Aert as well. Road race champion. We saw the likes of when they arrived on the circuit, Ben Healy just not able to encourage or coax those legs to stay involved in this battle. It's not going to have any effect on his top 10 finishing position in general classification, but this being about it, enhanced by the juice of this group contest. Overall race leader is hereabouts. He hasn't got too many teammates. He hasn't got any teammates, I don't believe, but hasn't prevented him from taking glory in the past. Tiptoeing through and splashing their way through these challenging streets, and they're bumpy, difficult. I mean, it is really. I've ridden a Paris rental bike on, and it's like bone jarring. You can imagine what it's like on a fully prepped racing iron like this, like these. And whoa, that is Horich just on the front and using his fabled. It's sketchy stuff for sure, and these road conditions are really different surfaces, really bumpy. We're going and back, having to analyze and adjust distance.
Dropping of D zone, things like that. You could see that if you went on the attack before the climb, you can make a bit of difference up in some of these corners, because they really are kind of backing off, and in the last lap it could be some difference. But there's some riders may take an opportunity, like Mohoric here. He knows, look at him, he's pushing boundaries. He knows that he comes to
one of the best bike handlers in the world.
So he might want to take a little bit more risk and run in towards the last time up this Montmartre climb.
Campenarts looks to try and control this strong group. Matteo Jorgensen there, and also more particularly their go-to man sitting nesting in the wheels, right on the tail indeed of the lead rider. Back to Campenarts is Wout van Aert, putting himself in prime position, staying as close to the front as possible. Even the group relatively small like this, a position close to the front,
you have to keep moving position. More riders that are in front of you just in this corner, more dangerous it is.
Squeal of the brakes in wet weather condition. Abrahamson down the back, trying to make his way up. In the front of Amarai, it's just Tranchant perhaps. Abrahamson continuing to tap along. Biniam Girmay has put himself into a fine position to, in many ways, save his Tour de France. What would it mean to his team as well, his battle team that is understood to be in the process of merging with the Lotto squad. Also, Bearman Arteli, some really strong, high-caliber sprinters in this move. Riders who know they can conceivably go to the line and win this stage if they're in the group with the fast finishers, or the likes of Kane Groves in on the other. Davide Ballerini as well, one of 3 riders for the Astana squad, and indeed they've got Mike Tennyson as well, a man who's tasted glory in Tour de France in the past. Campenarts, gingerly through it, and then immediately to the front. I'm not sure where the French former world champion is right now in the group, a little bit further back. I understand he's in there. Yeah, Alaphilippe at 56 in the back at the moment. Nielsen Paulus cruising along on the wheels as well. Could be one to watch out for. Alaphilippe. So the increasingly soggy cardboard sign that he's most unlikely to grab, I think, between now and the end of the stage. It's not a day like any other. Campenarts will be boosted up this climb by a huge crowd. Their enthusiasm for the stage not anyway dampened by weather conditions at the moment. It's another assault on Butte de Montmartre. And Pogacar in the line here. He knows he really can't. He's got a decent finish in amongst non-sprinters. He's up against some high-caliber fast man. Is this the moment that he launches? He's going to the front, and you know what this means, and the rest of them know too, but will they be able to respond to the overall race leader championating? Launching here as Ballerini on his tail tries to stay involved. A power climb of just over a kilometre, and he's out, but will this split the group?
Yes, not for the moment. He needs to keep the power down, but you know, this is where he's going to make it safe for himself. Wout van Aert going for this one, so it's just about hanging on. He hasn't made the difference as yet, but he has put a lot of riders under pressure behind.
Oh, there's a few floundering in there, but will the gaps be significant by the top? He's going to continue this one all the way to the top. Another 3 minutes, 100 meters of absolute hell for the rest in the wheel of up and across the crest of the climb. And it's Jorgensen third in line, Wadford present as well, so that's Pogacar winding his way, but he needs to keep the pressure on here because that gap is narrow. Is it decisive? And having to back off, even going uphill through that cobbled corner. Remarkable the kind of speeds that they pick up, and now things a little bit challenging. They tip their way down the descent. The changes speed as well. It's a real headache employ to try and get back to the yellow jersey group.
Yeah, and I think you have to take some sort of risk as well. But to have a teammate here for the likes of Wout van Aert makes a difference. Jorgensen might start to ride a little bit. I could see Matej Mohoric as well for Bahrain Victorious just coming up to join him. We already mentioned he's one of the best bike handlers in the world, so he'll know that for him to make a difference, it will be on maybe this descent next time round, or even before we get to this part.
Milan-San winner, of course, and his victory founded in large measure on a beautiful and extraordinary descent of the Poggio. He's managed to latch on Paulus there as well. How many more will be able to make that junction a significant junction? What if you are limited potentially by that attack by Tadej Pogacar, but still Davide Ballerini remains limpet-like, attached to the back wheel of Pogacar, and he's thundering along here and not even looking for a turn.
No, he's coming down there. We just saw glimpse of Nelson Paulus. He was at the back of that main group, and the hit climb another rider with Fred Wright. It was at the back. So by the looks of things, the way that Pogacar is riding here, it's going to be very difficult to come back to these guys in front now.
Well, one more leap up. Montmartre got to come, but still as much as 21.5 kilometers remaining. Group back to Jonathan Milan's almost a minute in arrears at this point, and surely out of contention for a third stage victory. Looking at Clay Green with glory on Champs-Élysées. Ballerini recognises the opportunity that he has managed to create for himself by being able to hold the wheel of the world champion on the climb. Stunning performance for Ballerini, and he's flying one of a couple of Italians in this group. Of course, Matteo Trentin has proved to be the stronger of the two Tudor Pro cycling riders, and the former European champion is part of the group as well. He'll be content with the current scenario.
Yeah, Ballerini has to be aware of the team of yours. Visma Bike got Walt Van Aert in the perfect scenario. He'll be able to help him, and this is probably a great chance for him to win his Tour de France stage this year.
Well, we're getting a full-blooded race. This race has been absolutely on and on proper since probably even before we arrived into Paris. So I think a final stage. So about 20 to go as Jorgensen just drops to the back of this group, no doubt with plans making appearance. Team's cruising squad, most represented team in this group with two riders. And this is so sketchy, isn't it? Jorgensen a little bit more circumspect, and the riders just trying to scrub off as much speed as they possibly could. Absolutely no lean on those bikes through those. Beautifully rest mind are out of it. It's less than 20 seconds. Full cooperation in this.
Yeah, they're a good chicken group because they don't want anybody to come up. They know that they're within 20 kilometres of potentially trying to win. It's safer being here. They know what they're up against. They've already seen some dodgy corners here in the different road surfaces, so they really don't want to be caught. And that's why they're all riding here. Be interesting to see who's riding in the group behind, but 15 seconds, not a lot. It still can come back, but if everybody rides here, they're in with a chance.
Well, when we come back with before it comes back, it's something strong on time. Ones that are out front at the moment, they're pretty strong on the flat road as well. Look at the chase behind with Paris Pontre. His hopes and dreams of a second stage victory.
Can you see the fronts? I'm not too sure. Somebody must have, because it's stretched out, but it's very difficult to see. We don't have a motorbike at the front here, but yeah, very difficult to see that who is riding. But yeah, this looks as if this is a good sign. Everybody's prepared, right?
Jorgensen hits the front for the Melissa bike squad. Trentin trying to find the right grip and the right piece of road surface. You can see just how bone jarring it is, almost really like maybe not quite severe as that, but nonetheless, this is a really challenging stage, isn't it? A really challenging technical circuit that demanding not just that ability and skill and also technical skills on the bike as well. All-round examination of the rider's ability.
Oh, this is going to be a stage that we're going to be talking about for some time now. This has changed the whole complexion of fighting here in Paris. Adding in Montmartre, which would have been great, but adding in the element of the rain as well, and it's completely shattered the peloton. There's riders absolutely everywhere. They're already in the hands and knees coming into this stage, and they raced it. Began the scruff of the neck. Paris Pontre for Decathlon at the front there. Who else is going to ride? You can see that they've got the bit between their teeth in front. These guys that are in front are just pushing out second by second. They don't want anybody coming back to them.
So the captain and Agent Mondial are absent from this front group. It's a select sextet. It includes the yellow jersey. What a remarkable sight it is. As we head towards final lap, they get the bell. Champs-Élysées going to try and replicate the achievement most recently of Bernardino back in the early 1980s. No records that this man is not willing to tilt. And today he's giving himself a race, but he knows he needs to ditch all riders' finishing kick.
I think he needs to ditch them all. I think all of them have got an element that maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's Mohoric, but I really do think that you can see that the way they're riding, and there's no way the 6 riders in that second group riding as well as these guys are.
Ballerini sprinting well. He's got a 5th already. Wout van Aert's got a 2nd place finish on the group ride to the line, and that's what Van Aert is going to be using to try and take the glory today. Well, like it would be for him as well after his injury woes last year, and well, he's down towards the back at the moment, just a little concerned look over the shoulder. Up to 25, significant enough you would imagine that they'll start to feel a little bit more secure, but they can't afford to ease up just yet. Ankorn tapping through. Merlier has missed the move. European road race champion not going to be able to push for glory on the Champs-Élysées today, and add to his total of 3. He's calling for a little bit of assistance, Lewis Askey, for Palma FDJ as well. Victory drought continues for them. Push the arc, the 21, and Pogacar presumably making plans. Is it all going to be on that final climb? Is that where he can make the difference?
For Pogacar, yeah, but for others, no. And Mohoric may want to do something beforehand. I think for Jorgensen and Van Aert, they'll be happy to try and keep it all together. They'll put it into Van Aert to sprint here. But I think he will leave it to the final course 90 up group of himself and Zoetemelk. They were, I think, 1st and 2nd in the general classification at that time, and they came to the finish together. But this stage was supposed to be a promenade. It was supposed to be a sprinters fest. This is torture for every rider here. Absolutely torture.
Yeah, will the riders be as enthusiastic about it as a repeat? But I think I'm certainly enjoying, and again, it's been a stimulating, certainly changed it at the final stage. Nothing predictable about it. The usual patterns don't apply. Mike Van Aert fully focused, and to a large measure, saving his Tour de France. Liz Melissa by as well, of course. See Simon Yates stage out, but since then, after his bid for glory out front earlier on, he's 3rd, head to the podium, collect that white jersey. He'll have a fresh and freshly laundered and beautiful and crisp new white jersey to collect, the most important one of all, of course. 3rd German to win that.
Although we've got great front, but as a spectator, do you want to see this? Do you want to see riders just leading to the finish? Do you want to see that? I quite enjoyed the big, the Tour de France and the Champs-Élysées.
And everyone feeling that they needed to stay in case they lost a place on general. But at the end, they wanted to at least stay involved all the way through to the final kilometre.
Yeah, it was just sprinters. It was went for the sprinters, but this is a totally different thing altogether.
Well, if it were dry, we wouldn't have this neutralisation of the general classification. So maybe in subsequent years, with a dry finish, you will have the excitement of this finale. added to the fact that more was so steady. Best to become.
Actually, a bit of the way around. Maybe take them onto the Montmartre circuit and then bring them onto the Champs-Elysees to finish for a few laps instead of what we've had this year. So we've had the flat laps around flattish around Champs-Elysees and then out to Montmartre.
But if you put the climb further from the finish, does it not sort of push it more towards the sprinters?
Yes.
Well, I don't think Tadej Pogacar would agree with you right now, would he? He wants to win. But Anna Deli absolutely, definitely would very much like to be involved back up front, and he's trying to press on. Very much that might be helping him to try and close that gap, but it's an increasingly forlorn prospect, isn't it? The gap is going out. The collective strength of this group are fundamentally awesome.
Yeah, I can't see anybody coming back from that group. These guys are limited now. It's just what that minute for Larry Torres. Mahoric kind of hangs on. He came across on the descent, so he already knows that if Pogacar goes again, he possibly doesn't have their legs to go with them. So he's going to try and anticipate it. So it's going to be a fascinating final, no matter what. Still think it's going to be very difficult for Pogacar in this position to win with the riders he's got here, because realistically, if he wants to win, he has to distance everybody this time up the climb.
Jorgensen there for Wout van Aert. That's useful. Third in line here. Painting almost complete. Just taking a moment to take in the scene. I'd like to see a painting from this final. "36 seconds. By former defensive Jorgensen goes presence. He doesn't as much as length advantage, as Matej Mohoric recognises the danger and the numerical advantage. Just one extra rider. It does make a difference, though, especially when you've got a rider as strong as the Paris-Nice winner, Matteo Jorgensen, tiptoeing with his little piff-paff sections and onto the smooth tarmac. Pogacar maybe will hit the climb, so to speak, with about 7 and a bit kilometres remaining. And over the top with 6.2 to go. After which it's pretty much downhill all the way to the conclusion. Jorgensen, after that push through to the front, stays on the front, recognises his responsibility, and he set the tempo, prevent perhaps a Mohoric attack in anticipation of that climb. Mohoric riding through, no one boxing clever just yet. Though it is interesting that the yellow jersey might have missed a turn or two here.
Yeah, just keeping out of the way, not getting involved. He will go on the climb, but everybody knows that as well. It's so short, he wasn't able to get rid of everybody the last time up. I'm not too sure he'll get rid of everybody here. Jorgensen playing the game now, going, now you're not in the back, you have to do something, and just opening up the gap ever so slightly.
Well, we saw something similar yesterday with Caden Groves and Frank van den Broek playing games, but ultimately this is a slightly different scenario. Tadej Pogacar immediately rides onto the wheel of Matteo Trentin. Van Aert cruises to the back. Pogacar rides through and just tries to miss a turn.
But now they're kind of waiting for anticipation. Now what Pogacar is, you know what he's going to do in this final climb. But the gap is significantly close to that. If it's a kind of normal kind of run in towards the finish, you give them a chance, but not in this circuit with these tricky corners.
So two riders in this group that aren't interested in this being a group finish, basically, Mohoric and Tadej Pogačar. Is that?
I would think so, but then again, Pogačar, he's won sprints in the past. He's beaten some of the riders that are here, but I just think that if he wants to win today, he has to go solo. He'll go on climb. I think he just might set a tempo. It's just hard to Wout here. It looks as if Wout van Aert, he is quite happy to go with the sprint in this group.
Yeah, Mohoric launches. Well, actually, he's having to launch, isn't he, to get on with Jorgensen again. Comes Jorgensen attack, and Mohoric just does like sort of do a little bit of a toreador routine, doesn't he? And with those pieces of road furniture.
They're leaning on Pogačar to bring this back. It was just a case of Wout van Aert just letting Jorgensen go around the corner, just using the numbers there. Mohoric's running a lot bit of time. He found that hard to close that gap there, but it was another effort from Pogačar.
Ballerini senses that we'll be on in the jersey. They don't want to ease up, and they're probably, what's the level of communication in terms of understanding what the gap is? We see on our screen it's 45 seconds. We're hearing team potentially getting a little delayed, so you can understand that they're anxious to continue to tap through and keep the chain as tight as possible as we approach the moment. And here he goes again, and it's Trentin that covers Jorgensen as he gets a little bit of a gap, and it's Pogačar that has to cover this one. He recognises his response. No, Mohoric has come off of the yellow jersey. Now approaching the technical set, making the left turn at Moulin Rouge. Who can endure on this climb. And it's Tadej Pogačar that's going to lead them onto the cobble section. And they all know what's coming.
He's gone from the bottom, and he will do. He'll go the whole way up. He has to get around this corner.
And he has to go from the bottom, as long as the position as close to as possible without being set in his frenetic tempo. Listen to the roar of the crowd as Tadej Pogačar goes on the rampage. To the left-hander, it eases ever so slightly and it'll go again. Mohoric has put himself in prime position. Ballerini's covering as well. All these riders have shown themselves to be the strongest. They're all still latched on. A little bit of a crack developing between Trentin and Jorgensen at the back. They're all nodding dogs there. And Pogačar goes at this hill again. Still 620 metres for these riders to endure. Not sure Jorgensen can handle too much more of this, but his teammate, Wout van Aert, is still attached to the back wheel of the yellow jersey. 500 metres more is starting to become detached, and then there were two. Trentin labours. Mohoric is out. Here comes Wout van Aert. Wout van Aert off the wheel. He's got the strength. He stomps on the pedals. It's a classics finish here for the Belgian rider, and only Pogačar can handle it. Ballerini tries to respond, but even Pogačar now is under a little bit of pressure. Wout van Aert is going to glory potentially. Has he got the gap? Has he got enough of a gap? Inside the final couple of hundred, Van Aert has put a bit of the grimace. And he recognised that he had more on the wheel and everyone else eliminated. And Wout van Aert has flown the coop.
Incredible effort here from Wout van Aert. Not many riders can ride Tadej Pogačar off the wheel. We're expecting Pogačar to go the whole way over the top. He just has to make sure that he stays upright. He won't put himself right in the bottom here to edge. Is there a chance for he to come back to him? Well, he doesn't want anybody to come back, but he just has to make sure that he doesn't take big risks in this descent.
9 stage victories in Tour de France in his career. Wout van Aert going to it. Needs to get down this treacherous descent here onto the smooth tarmac. He'll be grateful for that, but still plenty of other technical moments between now and the finish line. 5.5 kilometers. He's got what he wanted. He's got the gap. The winner, of course, of the victory on the Champs-Élysées back in 2021. Wout van Aert did it in altogether different circumstances. A solo ride to glory on the Champs-Élysées. Well, that's something that you would be able to dream of until very recently.
Pogacar's only 6 seconds, so any hesitation here, and Pogacar could come back. Still 5 kilometers to go to the finish, but can you believe that this will have had a
to get left now, cruising at 35 kilometers and more. Looking to improve on his best finish in this year's Tour de France of second.
I'm always forgetting Simon Yates, who's won a stage, so they're slim pickings, but this would be the stage that they really need. The second overall, Yates a nice stage win all that time ago, but Pogacar losing even more time. I think coming back.
That's done. Is there any way like that Pogacar can get one-on-one? Gary acts like he's dropping in clutches of the nearest pursuers, led by Matteo Mohoric, almost to say Morgan Ballerini still involved. A weary Matteo Trentin has been detached, but Tadej Pogacar, frustratingly for him, as things currently stand, is riding into a sprint finish for second position on the stage. Nonetheless, glorious overall victory to be celebrated, the fourth of his career. Finish Tour de France 2025 with a flourish. 3K to go. Mohoric refuses to links up as well, so it's a four-way. Is there enough strength potentially to get them on terms? Well, they need to close about 4 seconds a kilometre. The work of a moment is this man. Brief relief from the effort for Wout van Aert. This, as we've seen in the past, is a really, really slow and demanding left turn. He has the cushion of 13 seconds. Take that relatively gingerly. Behind Mohoric, I think he's going to throw himself at it. Up to 16 seconds, but that will yo-yo a little bit as the groups are different situations relative. Leads the group up to 12 seconds. The cognoscenti and the cafes and bars all around Flanders and beyond, that maybe Wout van Aert was his skills diminishing somewhat, but anything.
Performance up there with the best. Van Aert, the way I've seen Wout van Aert do.
Steals a little look over his shoulder. He's entitled to that. You've got the advantage. 1,500 metres remaining. No time just yet to be thinking about composing victory speeches. He won't be stopping to lift the bike over his head like his fellow countryman Remco Evenepoel in taking the glory in the Olympics last year, as Tadej Pogacar leaves it up to the rest. If it's not going to be victory, perhaps he's not so concerned about a sprint for second. An unusual scenario really, as Tadej Pogacar just eases off, maybe just to savour the moment of his fourth overall victory. Under the kite, Art keeps on the gas. To the finish line, a familiar conclusion, albeit somewhat unusually, without the presence of most of the rest of the peloton. Well, the 30-year-old from Herentals now can start to settle in and enjoy the moment. 9 stage victories in 4 separate Tours de France to this month. He has already taken victory on the Elise. I suspect this will even taste sweetest victory of all, perhaps. And Wout van Aert, the season that delivered a stage-winning stage victories for 2025. Now you can begin to compose. Now you can thank the team. You've delivered, and his teammate Matteo Jorgensen is trying to make it a 1-2. But it's Wout van Aert. Takes glory on the Champs-Elysees. He completes the Tour de France stage wins, and now it's a second victory of the season and of this Tour de France for the Visma Lease bike squad. Scrap for the minor honours behind. Looks as if it's going to Davide Ballerini. Should up again. We'll have to make do with 4th in the first stage. And nonetheless, imperious performance from the in yellow for Pogacar. Absolutely sensational final stage. I've really enjoyed that one, I have to say, and I suspect the experiment bears repeating. Matteo Trentin also doing much to make this another thrilling edition. And Richard Plugge finally has something to celebrate from Tour de France 2025. The smile is a sense of relief for the riders as they'll make their way to the finish line now, testing for the minor position. And friends, lots of sprints to be won. UCI points still on offer. No glory 2 days in a row for Caden Groves, but he takes care of business by winning that one. Victor Campenarts will celebrate this one long and hard once win himself the second place finish, but he's done a lot to Wout van Aert. Jorgensen, I think, as delighted as his teammate. Oh, Brian, that was a cracker.
It was a cracker, and a cracking performance by Wout van Aert. You know, we're looking at this man the whole time. You know, he wanted to try and here. He tried hard. He animated the race. He made the splits in the end, but Wout van Aert was just on a level from everybody else today. That was an incredible performance. What Wout van Aert? That's Wout van Aert of old, and he's not that old, but that's Wout van Aert of old. That's what he gave a big power. Saying the to last. That was, you know, I was saying during the tour,